Water from rain. Pure, clean, fresh, nectar of the gods. Picturesque, tranquil, soothing, magnificent. A valued asset, Jamaica's water is ranked among the best in the world for purity. Located in the center of the Caribbean, Jamaica, a tropical island, enjoys climatic conditions which sustain a natural environment rich in forests and rain-fed rivers and streams. This land of wood and water boasts over 100 streams, rivers and waterfalls, world-renowned for breathtaking beauty, sustaining life and economic activity. Where does this water come from? The cycle starts as rain, falling on trees, leaves and stems, gently falling to the soft earth. The soft earth acts as a sponge, absorbing the rainwater, allowing it time to percolate or soak into the underground aquifers through layers of sand, gravel and permeable rock. Naturally filtered, the water is stored and slowly released through wells or cracks in rocks as springs. Some water runs off the surface, flowing into ponds, feeding streams, rivers, waterfalls, and into man-made storage areas known as reservoirs. More than 75% of the water flowing in rivers and streams comes from springs fed by underground aquifers. A natural, healthy environment keeps the aquifers charged to provide year-round supply of water. Such natural drainage areas are called watersheds. All of Jamaica, from mountains to sea, is divided into 26 watershed areas, each classified as a watershed management unit. Limestone, igneous rock formations, good rainfall, dense vegetation, ridges and steep slopes create an hydrological basin or water catchment area sustaining the watershed.
The National Environment and Planning Agency's mission is to promote sustainable development by ensuring protection of the environment and orderly development in Jamaica through highly motivated staff performing at the highest level. Collaboration is inescapable as no one agency has all the resources or legislative mandate to address the plethora of issues covered in watershed management. Extension services, public education, enforcement, mechanisms for local level management of watershed and forest resources are executed in a collaborative manner.
Here are 3 questions to test your knowledge. What is an aquifer? What is a watershed? How many watershed management areas are there in Jamaica? Of them all, perhaps the most scenic and economically valuable is the Duns River watershed on Jamaica's north coast, site of the world-famous Duns River Falls. This is the Duns River watershed, an area of 1,200 acres, much of it covered by virgin forests. It is a part of the larger Rio Bueno watershed area, closely linked to the Cave River and Roaring River watersheds in one drainage system. High above the Duns River Falls is a natural environment of ridges, steep slopes and dense vegetation, where over 60 inches of rain falls annually to feed the aquifers and rivers in the area. A virgin or pristine environment is one in which the physical, biological and social components are in their natural state without human influence. In such an environment, both the abiotic or the non-living elements, such as the soil, slopes and water, and the biotic or living components, plants and animals, exist in harmony. However, in the Duns River area, there are now over 3,800 residents. Some 52% of persons surveyed in this area indicate farming as their main occupation. These farmers clear the slopes of natural timber forests and vegetation to rear cattle and goats and to grow cash crops. In these mainly poor communities, they live in riverside settlements, eking out a living, unaware of the long-term damage to the environment from their activities, locked in a life of subsistence farming, many merely surviving. Forests, the rich undergrowth and animals in their natural habitat are essential to the ecological balance of a watershed. Removal of the flora and fauna or plants and animals from the area disturbs the ecological balance, resulting in the loss of plants, birds, lizards, frogs and butterflies, and in its capacity to store water, vital to the maintenance of the watershed. In a move to prevent further damage to this watershed, Friends of the Sea, a non-governmental organization, is engaged in an education program to replace and prevent further removal of trees in these areas to protect and maintain the watershed.
Don't worry about getting your hand dirty. This is all.
The burning and clearing of ground cover for human settlement in watershed areas, the removal of vegetation and root systems which hold the soil together on hillsides, causes erosion, land slippage, topsoil or silt in rivers, and the destruction of fish population in ponds, rivers, and the sea. In addition, poor waste disposal from unplanned human settlements increases pollution. Trees removed for furniture making, yam sticks and for fuel wood, as well as large tracts of land cleared for grazing animals, are of great concern to the management unit of the Duns River watershed. What have you learned about the destruction of Jamaica's watersheds? Identify 3 human actions that can cause damage to a watershed. What do you understand by ecological balance? Removal of natural vegetation and root structures, which loosens the soil, causing erosion, and the denudation of wide areas of land for animal grazing and crop culture. These all pose a major threat to the natural conditions that sustain Jamaica's watersheds and cause an estimated 30 tons of topsoil per hectare to be washed away annually by overland flow. Debris and plants uprooted by heavy rainfall damage riverbanks and flow channels, increasing silt in rivers. Heavy waterborne silt contaminates surface water and when it settles, clogs drainage systems, reducing the depth of water in rivers and causing overflows and flooding. Silt in the sea smothers corals and damages the natural vegetation, including the mangroves. Fish stocks are reduced as a result of damage to fish gills and scales, loss of fish eggs and juvenile fish in mangroves. They also die from the effects of toxic chemicals from crop fertilizers which pollute the rivers. Heavy rain strips the denuded slopes of vegetation and soil, bringing down higher volumes of water, silt and debris, causing flooding of the lowlands. And water from rain, instead of percolating underground into the aquifers, runs off. This greatly reduces water stored in aquifers, leading to water shortages in the dry season. In addition, pollution from dust, burning of firewood, mining and quarrying further impacts the biodiversity of the environment. All these conditions point to an urgent need for conservation practices for the protection of Jamaica's watersheds. Community education programs designed to promote behavior change offer the only long-term strategy for sustained protection of watershed areas and for the protection of Jamaica's natural environment. The Rural Physical Planning Unit, the National Water Commission, the Ministry of Water and Housing and the Forestry Department of the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as the National Environment and Planning Agency, share responsibility for the maintenance and management of land use, water quality, stormwater training, and the efficient disposal of effluent and solid waste. It is only awareness and constant vigilance that will ensure and sustain Jamaica's rich and diverse environment, which attracts over 2 million visitors a year to the island's shores and contributes billions of dollars to the nation's economy. While engagement of the entire population in understanding the importance of watersheds and Jamaica's biodiversity is absolutely essential, shared responsibility for its protection and for lasting change will be best managed through the involvement of the youngest of our population, the children of Jamaica.
This is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. This is Jamaica, my Jamaica. This is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. This is Jamaica, my Jamaica. This is the land of my birth.
Do protect our watersheds. Plant trees. Keep watersheds free from garbage, sewage, and other wastes. Protect natural wildlife and flora. Inform friends and family about the importance of watersheds. Don't clear slopes of natural timber forests and vegetation. Don't settle on riverbanks and in areas critical to ensuring a constant and clean water supply. Don't farm or rear cattle on watershed areas. Find out how you can do your part to keep Jamaica's watersheds viable.